three states of human and the fourth states, or Turiya. Consciousness isn't some theoretical construct. It's a fundamental part of what it is to be alive. We must first absolutely be clear about what the word consciousness means. A person's state of consciousness is highly individual and difficult to quantify. Advaita Vedanta sheds light on the interconnectedness of our many states of awareness. Learning about the various states of consciousness can help us better understand and value our own and others' life experiences. One can be calorie conscious or weight conscious if they are managing their food intake, cosmic conscious if they have faith in a supreme being like Krishna, and environmentally conscious if they are concerned about global warming. Advaita Vedanta defines consciousness as the awareness of one's immediate environment, thoughts and feelings. There is no way for others to observe or quantify such a personal event. Depending on the circumstances, one's level of consciousness may rise or fall. Advaita Vedanta, too, employs a metaphor to clarify the nature of the self. It's like turning on a light to reveal the hidden details of the room of our mind. Awareness of our physical selves, mental processes, and emotional states is illuminated by the inner light of awareness. There are three basic states that can be experienced by the human consciousness: waking states, or Jagarita, dreaming states, or Svapna, deep sleep states, or Sushupti. Waking states of consciousness. Advaita Vedanta, a school of Hindu philosophy, describes waking states of consciousness in terms of its understanding of reality and the nature of the self. According to Advaita Vedanta, the waking state of consciousness is the ordinary state of awareness in which we are fully awake and engaged with the external world through our senses. It is the state of being awake and perceiving the physical reality around us. In the waking state, we identify ourselves as separate individuals with distinct identities. We experience the world through the lens of subject-object duality, perceiving ourselves as individuals interacting with other objects and beings. We are aware of our thoughts, emotions, and sensory perceptions, and we engage in various activities and experiences. However, from the perspective of Advaita Vedanta, this waking state of consciousness is considered illusory or temporary. It is seen as a state of limited awareness, where we perceive ourselves as separate entities and are bound by the limitations of the physical world. Let's take a simple example. Imagine you are sitting in a park, observing the beauty of nature around you. In this scenario, according to Advaita Vedanta, your awareness of the surrounding park is facilitated by the senses and the mind. Through the sense of sight, you perceive the vibrant colors of the flowers, the greenery of the trees, and the blue sky above. The sense of hearing allows you to listen to the chirping of birds, the rustling of leaves, and the distant sounds of people conversing. The sense of touch lets you feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, the coolness of the breeze, and the texture of the grass beneath your feet. The sense of smell enables you to inhale the fragrance of flowers and the earthy scent of the park. Finally, the sense of taste may come into play if you decide to eat or drink something during your time in the park. These sensory perceptions create a rich tapestry of experiences that contribute to your awareness and conscious engagement with the surrounding environment. Simultaneously, your mind processes and interprets these sensory inputs, forming thoughts, emotions, and judgments about the park and your experience within it. You are conscious of what is going on inside your head. In addition to seeing and hearing these things, you may also experience a range of different emotions and mental processes. Thus, we might define consciousness as the ability to be aware of one's own mental states, including one's perceptions, thoughts, and emotions. In the teachings of Advaita Vedanta, consciousness in the dream and deep sleep states is often described using a metaphor of a movie projector. Dream state. In the dream state, consciousness is compared to a movie projected onto a screen. Just as a movie projector creates a series of images and scenes that appear real and engaging, our consciousness creates a subjective reality within the mind during dreaming. In this metaphor, the mind acts as the screen, and the projected images and experiences are perceived as if they are happening externally. We become engrossed in the dream, often without questioning its reality until we awaken. The metaphor highlights the illusory nature of the dream state, where our consciousness creates a subjective world within our minds. Deep sleep state. In the deep sleep state, consciousness is likened to the screen itself, devoid of any projected images. Just as a movie screen remains blank when there is no film being projected onto it, in deep sleep, consciousness is said to be present, but without any specific content or experiences. It is a state of profound rest and a temporary cessation of the subject-object duality that characterizes the waking and dream states. The metaphor emphasizes that in deep sleep, the individual mind and its activities are temporarily absent, and there is a sense of unity and undifferentiated consciousness. This metaphor of the movie projector helps to illustrate the transient nature of the dream state and the absence of mental activity in deep sleep, while highlighting the underlying presence of consciousness throughout these states. Advaita Vedanta uses this metaphor to emphasize that the true nature of the self, which is pure consciousness or Brahman, remains unchanged and unaffected by the various states of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. Where does that light of awareness come from? What is its source? Since you are a thinking, feeling being, you must be the origin. When you turn on the light of awareness, your mind's inner workings become visible to you. Not only do you know what goes on in your head while you're awake, but you also know what goes on in your head while you're dreaming. The same illumination of awareness that illuminates your dreams also illuminates them. The main difference between the waking and dream states is that everything you experience in your five senses when you're awake comes from the world around you, but in your dreams, your memories and your imagination play a much larger role in what you take in. But what happens to our consciousness at night during deep dreamless sleep? According to Advaita Vedanta, during deep dreamless sleep, our individual consciousness, which is associated with the mind and the sense of personal identity, temporarily subsides. In this state, the mind is in a state of rest, and there is an absence of specific thoughts, emotions, or sensory experiences. Advaita Vedanta describes deep sleep as a state where the individual mind and its activities are dormant. It is often referred to as the state of sushupti in Sanskrit. In deep sleep, the sense of individuality and the subject-object duality that characterizes the waking and dream states are temporarily dissolved. However, even though the individual mind is at rest, Advaita Vedanta asserts that the underlying pure consciousness, which is considered the ultimate reality or Brahman, remains present. This consciousness is not limited to the individual level, but transcends it. In the deep sleep state, Advaita Vedanta teaches that although there is no specific content or mental activity, there is still an awareness of that state. This awareness is often referred to as the witness consciousness, or the pure awareness that underlies all states of consciousness. If you are aware of that state, then we call this state as Ati Jargit, or beyond waking state, or Ati Shushupti, or beyond deep sleep state. In Vedic knowledge, this state is called Turiya, or fourth state of consciousness. This state is known as Turiya, or the fourth state of consciousness. From the perspective of Advaita Vedanta, deep sleep provides an opportunity to glimpse the pure consciousness that is unaffected by the fluctuations of the mind and the changing states of waking and dreaming. It is seen as a state of unity and rest, where the individual's identification with the body and mind temporarily ceases. However, it is important to note that the direct experience of deep sleep is not available to the waking state consciousness. It is known only through the recollection of having slept deeply without dreams upon awakening. The true nature of consciousness in deep sleep is considered to be beyond conceptual understanding and can be realized through the direct experience of higher states of consciousness in spiritual practice and self-realization. In simple words, stones, people, and everything else are all conscious, but to what extent is unknown. When the mind is completely unconscious, as in deep sleep or sushupti, each person's level of awareness, while in such situations, is unique. This fourth level of awareness is crucial for developing one's spirituality and coming into one's own. One's ability to maintain awareness and consciousness during deep sleep, and therefore connect with the deeper components of one's being, is said to be cultivated by regular meditation and other spiritual practices. The main cause of this phenomenon is that our limitless consciousness becomes mixed up with temporary things with the help of misleading memory that is stored in the region of that consciousness. But when memory disappears, there is no mine or yours, and the consciousness has nothing with which to identify. Thus, it is preferable to think of ourselves as pure consciousness, unencumbered by past experiences. Memory is what causes normally free consciousness to get mired in its own delusion, or Jiva. All the minds are tormented alone by their own thoughts and recollections. Now, what takes place if a person is able to maintain this core condition of human consciousness for an extended period of time? For the purpose of providing a response to that question, let's go over some of the teachings of various enlightenment masters. According to Sadhguru, if we are in the state of Turiya, then we are a rich in joy state, means we're deathless. There are various aspects to that which we refer to as Shiva. The boundless reality which is referred to as Shiva is the ultimate state for yogis. The greatest of the yogis has been referred to as Shiva. His dance is referred to as Shiva. His music is referred to as Shiva. His stillness is referred to as Shiva. But of all this, he being a yogi is of the greatest importance in terms of opening up a door of possibility for every other human being. Somebody gave many things, but for the world that dimension, which is a possibility for the world, is the most important thing. So he being a yogi is the most important thing. Being a yogi means many things. One aspect of a yogi is that he sleeps in his wakefulness and is awake in his sleep. During sleep, a yogi must be fully awake, but if you check the parameters of the body, it looks like he is completely in sleep. Everything should be asleep, but yogi must be awake. His body should sleep, his mind should sleep, and everything should sleep, but yogi must be awake. When you fast asleep, you are in perfect tune with the existence, one with the existence. Nature has always given us this state. If we are forgotten, then every day when we go to sleep, it makes us one with the existence. In the same sense of unity, if we can wake up and walk around, we made it. Every day, we have free enlightenment when we go to sleep, but the problem is we're unconscious. So the sadhana essentially is just this: from wakefulness to when you go to sleep, a certain part of us goes to sleep. A certain part of us, if it still stays awake, then we made it. Otherwise, when you wake up, if a certain part of us still continues to sleep, then we also made it. If we are awake and fast asleep at the same time, then this state is called TURIYA State. If we are in a state of TURIYA, we say it rich in joy, mean deathless, because if we can be awake in our sleep, we will also be awake when we have to shut the body. So there is no question of death for such a person, because life and death are happening at the same time. It is only the ignorant who think right now I am alive and one day I will die. No, both are happening at the same time. They are not two different things. Actually, only for the sake of understanding, we have to divide them. Otherwise, it's just life and life. One dimension of life and another dimension of life. So this transition between from one dimension of life to another becomes an easy doorway. Every day we have this doorway available to us. That is between wakefulness and sleep. It is as good as life and death. If we know how to exploit this doorway, if we stay alert till that last moment, it's as good as being conscious at the moment of death. Then we master our mortality. This is an opportunity for us, the best preparation for death. Thus, the moment of sleep is a tremendous opportunity if we sleep in a certain way, if we can manage that moment consciously. That's it. We are rich in joy as there's no death for us. Paramahansa Yogananda, another Indian yogi, teaches that Turiya, or pure consciousness, is a condition that both transcends and penetrates the three realms of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. There is no numerical significance to the fourth in comparison to the other three states. Since it is presented after Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, Turiya is often referred to as the fourth or the third in the exposition of Brahman. Turiya's singular properties exclude its description by means customary in the realm of empirical knowledge. It has no characteristics, either general or particular, and there is only one of it. It is impossible to classify it as creating, maintaining, or any other kind of action, because it does nothing. The value of the knowledge of Turiya may be questioned at this juncture. Is there nothing in it that reminds you of a horse's horns? Not at all. When a person comes to know himself as Turiya, he is liberated from his attachment to material things. The unfounded dread and unrealistic anticipation that haunt the miraculous life have left him. When you understand the desert for what it really is, you stop chasing after the mirage's water, and when you understand the rope for what it really is, you stop being afraid of the snake that's been erroneously overlaid on it. Ignorance, desire, attachment, aversion, and so on are all eradicated by the realization of the self as Turiya. The Upanishad's central message is that we are all one with Turiya. The borders of these three states do not extend into Turiya. It's like when the snake's illusionary knowledge is shattered and the rope suddenly becomes visible. The rope's true nature is hidden from view by ignorance, but once that veil is lifted, everyone may see it at once. Because the rope has always been, our understanding of it is not dependent on the elimination of the concept of the snake. Once the false notion of the snake has been demolished, the rope can be seen without the aid of any other piece of knowledge. Even while the knowledge of Turiya is not directly related to the annihilation of characteristics like subjective and objective consciousness, their very demise discloses the actuality of Turiya. To achieve Turiya, you need no other tool of knowledge. When Turiya is attained, there is a complete erasure of the three categories of knower, knowledge, and known. Since the end of Maya coincides with the awakening to Turiya, the goal of the scriptures and other instruments of knowledge is to bring about this end. The different modes of knowledge used to illustrate Brahman's non-dual nature are themselves rooted in the realm of duality. The elimination of duality is the ultimate goal of these tools. The tools of knowledge are lost with the collapse of dualism. Then the proof and the prover are no longer necessary components of the realization. Brahman alone is. According to the Mandukya Upanishads, Turiya is neither aware of the inner or subjective world, nor the outer or objective world, nor aware of both, nor a mass of consciousness. It's not only being aware or being asleep. It cannot be perceived cannot be related to anything else, cannot be inferred, cannot be thought of, and cannot be described. The essence of consciousness, as it appears as the self across the three stages, is the cessation of all manifestations. It is complete tranquility, unending joy, and non-duality. Turiya refers to this particular condition. Atman or Brahman is this, and awareness of it is essential. Thus, we might define Turiya as a condition in which the subconscious does not interfere with one's ability to remember. It's a fully conscious but memory-free state of being. What do you think about these stages? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below.